everybody, this is RC Central here, and today we're going to be looking at the Basher RZ4. And I have just realized something as I was preparing to do this review video, and that is that this car has been, at least version 1, discontinued. So if you were looking for specific motor KVs and amperages on the ESCs, who knows now, because they no longer sell the car with these electronics. They now sell a version 2 or a version 2 kit, which has Trackstar branded ESCs and motors in it. And so really this is a unique review because it's a review of a car that I didn't know was discontinued. Now, if you still want the chassis for this car, you can find it on hobbyking.com. And it is just called the Basher RZ4 version 2, and you can get it as a kit. And if you want to get this RTR, it now comes with a completely different motor setup and a new servo and new ESC, and they've tweaked a few things. The plugs are different. So really, this is a unique review because now we're reviewing a car that maybe a few of you have out there, and you can still of course get this setup if you can find the motors for it. And so it's kind of going to be a part-in-part review of the V2 and this car. I have looked at the changes, so I know I'm not going to be saying, oh, this is also going to be better than the V2, because I know the V2 doesn't have that feature anymore. So really, here's the car. And it doesn't have a body on for a very good reason, and this reason they haven't fixed in the version 2 of this car, and that is that the body sucks. It is absolutely horrible. It looks amazing, as you can see here. Well, this one doesn't, but the decals and everything look amazing, but the body is complete trash, utter trash. It is not really Lexan, it's more like a very, very thin PVC, and this mess that you see here was from a light crash. A light crash did this, and this is even supported with electrical tape. Really, this shouldn't be on at all without that electrical tape. And really, I recommend trashing the body once you crash it and getting a new one, or repurposing an old one like I did. So really, it looks good, and they haven't fixed this in the V2, but it's a trash body. I really do wish they would have made this out of Lexan, and a thick Lexan, because for a rally car that's going to get bashed up and messed around, this isn't acceptable. You really shouldn't have a body that is this bad. So I mean, the rest of the car has its gimmick and it's pretty good, but the body is such a letdown. You're really going to have to spend the money to get a better one if you're using this as a rally car. So, just as a quick note, I've repurposed this, and what's sad is that this is a hobby grade rally car. This body, that also fits it, is thick Lexan, and this is from a toy grade car. This is from a toy grade RC car that was kind of mimicking the coolness factor of hobby grade ones by having a removable body. This is higher quality than the one that came with the car. And this is from a toy car. So really, Hobby King or whoever is in charge of designing the Basher RZ4, it needs to come with a better body, but until then you need to pick one up that is better and thicker, or just repurpose an old one like I have. And so that's why it doesn't have a body. I recommend you get a new one. The body's trash, so that's complete 0 points in the body. So here's the car itself. As I've said, the electronics don't come this way with the new version, and they don't sell the old version, so I'm not going to go into much on the electronics. I don't know what KV it is. I will say that the ESC looks to be a rebranded waterproof Hobbywing 75 amp, so that is most likely 75 amps and it's waterproof. I have no idea, because I didn't state in the V1 or the V2 whether or not this servo is waterproof. And so they say the car is waterproof-ish. They don't really say it, but they show it in pictures and on the box. But I wouldn't run this through water because I don't think that servo is waterproof, and the receiver doesn't look waterproof either. So maybe some light splashes would be okay because you're mostly protected, but don't go running it through sludgy snow and stuff like that. And so the servo, I don't know what it is. It was said to be a high-speed servo, but it is plastic geared, and usually those two don't mix. and I have seen the outcome of that because that servo has been stripped, completely stripped. It does not turn right now. I always run cars for quite a while before I do a review on them just to get a hang of it and to tell you personally how it is from user experience. So, servo, it'll do the job if you're doing on-road stuff, and that's okay. I don't think it's waterproof. Receiver, it's a receiver, you can't really complain about that. It works, it's a receiver. So again, we have the Hobbywing ESC 75 amp. I don't know what kV the brushless motor is because they don't have this vehicle on the website anymore, and I never bothered to look it up, although I will say this car is extremely fast for its size. It is very fast. It tops out at maybe 40 miles an hour, and I think it's only advertised at about 30, so really, even on a 2S battery, about 40 miles an hour, that's a steal. This car is good. Now, I don't know what the newer version has, but it looks like it has better motors, although they are by Trackstar, and Trackstar is either one of those companies where you have an amazing setup that works perfectly for a great value, or you have stuff that catches on fire and clogs and doesn't work. So, we'll see what happens with the version 2. But as far as I know, these electronics are great. I just need to get a metal geared servo for this car. Now, this is a rally car, and it is belt driven, and it is 4-wheel drive, although as a rally car, it's pretty poor. It doesn't handle very well as a rally car. I had to do some tuning, and it still didn't handle very well. And honestly, this would make a great on-road car, and an absolutely amazing on-road car. So if you're looking to get a cheap on-road car that actually works good, buy this rally racer and stick an on-road body and tires onto it. The tires are very soft. They are meant for off-road, so me using this on-road has completely smoothed them out. So, and really the hubs, not the hubs, the rims, these things, they're not very strong at all. I wouldn't recommend them for rallying. I've already cracked one and had to kind of super glue it back together. So, actually that is the one that I just held up, if you can see. It might be hard to see because of YouTube's compression, but there are hairline cracks and fractures all the way around the wheel, and it's pretty bad. I think it's only held together by my super glue and the tire itself. So, really, this car is a bit iffy, but moving on from that, so we do have belt 4-wheel drive, and we have a differential in the front and a differential in the rear, and it works out pretty good. You may notice that this is all kind of modded and covered with clips on it, and that's because as again a rally racer, this car isn't very good for rally, and it's a belt drive car, so if you get maybe a pebble in there, and I've had this happen a lot before, the belts flip. And the most frustrating part about belts flipping is that to flip the belts back over, you have to take apart over half of the car. The back end has to come off, and the center has to come off, and even some bits up here have to come off just to flip around the belts. So what I've done to counteract rocks and pebbles getting into the most sensitive areas, right here where there's a bunch of gears, is I have taken some kind of netting that still lets air in but won't let rocks in, and I've kind of wrapped it around everything and wrapped it around the back diff. There's still open spaces, but now it doesn't seem to flip belts anymore because about 90% of the rock that would get in there before don't get in there anymore. Now, this is a 4-wheel drive car, and as of now it is not 4-wheel drive because the back dog bones work perfectly fine. Those are perfect, no problem with that. But the front dog bones, if I can get you in there, as you can see, that wheel spins freely. Because the front dog bone right there is wiggling around because the connection between the hub and the dog bone is very thin, and for off-road that doesn't work very well. It's actually kind of torn itself and melted itself to pieces. And the other one just disappeared one day. It's not even in there, so I have no idea what happened, and I haven't been taking very many hard hits. The only hard hit that was ever taken with this car was when it used to have the original body, and it wasn't even a hard hit at all, so it didn't cause that. So I have no idea what happens to those dog bones, but I would say if you can get a thicker one, definitely do that, or keep some at hand, and they're not even cheap, really. For dog bones, they're $17 for about 2 of them, and that's expensive, especially for how small they are. So that's a downside there. The front dog bones seem to have some magical fairy dust problems where they magically disappear and break themselves. The rear ones work perfectly fine, and I believe that they're identical. And as you can see here, I'm not running stock springs. These are a little bit softer springs because to get it over the bumps in rally, it needs softer suspension. The harder springs weren't working out very well. Again, it seems like they took an on-road car and kind of tried to make it into a rally, but it didn't work out very well. If you have a keen eye, you might have noticed that it has an aluminum brushed chassis, and that is very, very nice. I love this chassis. It's amazing. The battery holder is again like an on-road one. It has little tabs to hold it in and a strap, so you can really get as big as high as a battery you want, but width you're limited very much because this is as wide as they can go outwards. And you may think, oh well, it's just going to hit the belts in there. They have some like nuts at the bottom in the chassis there and there to stop the battery from going into the belt, so you're good with that. Let's see, shock posts. These are not stock ones, these are from the Trooper, and I've just modded them to fit on here to get that new body on. And these are the original stock posts in the front. It comes with a foam bumper, but the plastic underneath is not very strong, and from that light hit that wrecked the body, yeah, it broke this. And it still works. You could obviously super glue that back, or you could just order a new one. Again, parts for this car are pretty dang expensive. It is 2.4 gigahertz, as most RC cars are nowadays, and the old version 1 used to have an RTR version, and that came with the remote, and all I needed to get was a battery and a charger. I already had a charger, so I just picked up a Turnigy 5000 milliamp 2S LiPo. Really, you shouldn't be running nickel metal hydride in this car because it is orientated towards LiPo, and even on a 2S, it goes pretty dang fast. I don't know what the new ESCs and motors can handle, but for this version 1, if you happen to have it or buying it off of eBay or something, you need to have a 2S LiPo. 1S is too low, 3S will burn out the ESC, it's not designed for it. So really, this car is kind of half and half. Is it fun when it works? Yes, extremely fun. It is fast and it is good. Handling out of the box for a rally, not all that good. You can drive it around and have some really, really good fun and drift around, but it just needs softer springs, so pick up a pair of softer springs like I have, and that helps out a ton. The suspension really doesn't need to be adjusted other than that because all their alignments are pretty good, and they do have adjustable holes and sliders in here and different mounting points for you to pick from. I believe, because I haven't seen a single normal screw, that this is all just hex all around. So that's, some people like that, some people don't. I personally don't like it because this is from Hobby King. Hobby King is overseas, and since I live in the US, getting the right hex sizes is pretty difficult, and some hex screws I can't even take off with normal US hex. So, I mean, it's a good car. When it runs, it's fine. I personally believe that this would be an amazing on-road car, and I'm looking to do that transition in the future. Get it some nice on-road tires, the body's already pretty much on-road, and just tweak the suspension to be on-road, maybe put in the harder springs, because it honestly seems like this car was orientated on-road and modified to work off-road, and it didn't turn out very well. So if you're looking to pick up this car on eBay or something, or even get the new version 2, the version 2 has different electronics, so ignore what I said about these electronics and just go look at that. And really, that's pretty much it for this video. This car is enjoyable when it works. I love it on-road, it's amazing. Even with the modifications for rally, when it's on-road, it works amazing. I wish I had on-road tires that I could slap on here and go outside all day and mess around with. Plastic servo, which I believe is the same one on the version 2, not so good off-road. Again, I think this was an on-road car, but for on-road, that plastic servo is fine, and it's reasonably fast. It's not super fast like they say, but of course, when they're advertising their own product, they're going to make it sound amazing. So, should you get this car? If you want a rally car that's cheap-ish, no. I don't recommend this car for you if you want a rally car that's cheap. It's just not good for rally. if you want an on-road car for really cheap, and for on-road this is dirt cheap, go ahead and pick one up. Pick up the version 2. It has, as I can see, better electronics, and just slap on some good on-road tires onto this and put on whatever you want, really. I would say get a different body just to make it look better and, you know, not have a trashy body. Put on-road tires, and there you go. You have a great, absolutely great on-road car. So, if you want it for rally, I would stay away from this car. It requires some pretty extreme modifications. I'm looking into modifying things even more. If you want an on-road car for cheap, pick this up, slap some new tires and a body on it, and then boom, there you go. You have an awesome, fast, very fast on-road car. So that's going to be about it for this video. I was hoping to go more in depth on this car with electronics, but I simply couldn't find most of the statistics for the electronics and things like that because of it's discontinued, and I didn't know that. You can still pick up the version 2, which looks pretty much identical, different electronics, and I would say it usually has most of the problems that this car has. So that's going to be about that for this video. We'll see you guys in the next one, and goodbye.